Welcome back to the 6K Sports Sedan and Wagon Challenge presented by Continental Tire. Surprise, surprise, the BMW is already broken. After that glorious victory on the dyno, I was driving the car home and sure enough the check engine light came on and I thought, this can't be good, but the engine was still running fine. Everything was good. Although the temperature gauge was reading a little bit far to the left, in my opinion. Usually they kind of like teeter to the left of the middle, and this is like on that little dot, which is like a quarter of the way up kind of thing. So like it's a little cold. And sure enough, when I plug in the scanner, we have a plausibility engine temperature check engine, and that means it's one of two things. It's either the thermostat is starting to fail, which is kind of cool, honestly, in this kind of situation where, you know, the car has two temperature sensors. It can tell you it's reading the difference between them and saying, look, there's a lot of variance. We now have an issue with your thermostat. Maybe it's starting to stick. And you can catch it before it actually sticks and causes really bad things to happen. So the other thing that this could be is the sensors. As I just mentioned, we have a sensor in the lower thermostat, or the coolant hose, and then we have one in the thermostat housing up here. And if one of these sensors is reading off, then you get that check engine. As you can see, I've replaced both sensors. So these were actually super cheap. I think they're like 20 bucks a piece. I did replace them, and we still have the check engine light. There's a bunch of information on the forums leading to 10 different solutions, but none are definitive. So what I've read now, I'm just going through the process of elimination, and I'm at a point now where one guy was like, you guys are overthinking this. It's your damn thermostat. Replace the thermostat, which is what we're gonna do next. So here you get a better look at our thermostat housing, which has the thermostat in it. There's a bunch of stuff that needs to come off, but before we do that, we need to drain some of the coolant. What I don't want to do is drain the entire system to do this. I've seen a couple of tutorials online, and the best thing to do is drain as much coolant as you can out of this system here. I've got Dave's Austin Powers Swedish pump here. Is it wrong to be using another man's pump, DP?
Yeah, you know, I don't mind sharing.
For this kind of instance, I think not. So I think that is my fourth time pulling coolant out of there, and this actually leads to underneath the thermostat housing, so it's not just pulling it out of the reservoir there. And you can see we got a good amount of coolant out of there. Next up here, we are going to have to remove these oil lines leading to the Vanos here, and I think to the accumulator here to get this out of the way. Next thing here, we're gonna remove these 10 mils that hold this. I don't even know what it is. Weird little junction. So place your bets, guys. Did I drain this system well enough that there's no coolant left in it, or are we gonna have ourselves a massive gusher? Judging by the feeling of this hose, there is, woo, nothing in this one. Oh, geez, there's a lot of coolant. There's a lot of coolant. And now we have 3 of these long 10 mil bolts that apparently hold this in, but there is a catch. What you guys can't see, there's 3 tubes that run into the engine. So when you remove this, it is very finicky and hard to get out. I'll show you in a second. So you see it is loose here, and as I said, now we've got these 3 pipes with O-rings on them. You kind of have to finagle off. Okay. Oh, there it goes.
Knuckle buster?
Yes. Thank God it wasn't a knuckle buster. Holy.
Look at that thing, eh?
And there are your 3 pipes. I'm making sure that this mating surface is clean because the last thing I want is to have a leak. So you can see I've stuffed a couple of towels into it, and now I'm just gonna continue to go around here until I'm satisfied with it. Now to pull this out, it does take a bit of leverage. There we are. Woo. You can see by the buildup of rust and debris around here, this certainly hasn't been changed. recently. Like, look at all that. We are most certainly gonna have to clean up that. Come on. There it goes. All right, that worked really well. There you go, pro tip, guys. Trying to remove these pipes, just put in a vice, and pull.
Or just buy a Lexus and never do this job.
Well,
ever,
that's true, DP.
ever.
Look at this one. This one didn't look like, either it's starting to fail or when somebody put it in, they pinched it just enough. Look at that rubber coming off. So now to clean this out here, I've got this stainless steel brush, and I'm gonna come in here nice and careful, and you can see doing a really good job of cleaning it up. So we've got our O-rings well lubed, and you can see they kind of just drop right in, which is reassuring, because putting this back into there, I've read horror stories of people tearing O-rings over and over to try to get it in there, but you can see they do just kind of drop in here. I think it's all about making sure you've got plenty of lubrication. You remember how the old one came out, how difficult it was? Look at the new one. It just, look at that. It just fits in there so nicely. Why do they have to make 3 tubes like this? Why couldn't it just be one, DP?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing, what the design logic is there, but I guess I shouldn't use BMW and design logic in the same sentence.
That's right. Okay. Well, that looks like we are in. I'm always paranoid with this stuff. When you have long bolts like that, you do have to be careful, because all it takes is one over torque, it snaps, and this is all aluminum stuff. You don't want to deal with it. Okay, I think that's about it. All we got to do now is put this stuff back together. Confident that thermostat fix is gonna work. So we're moving on here to, see this? This is the dreaded BMW oil leak. Only after 300 miles, looks like I do have some oil dripping down, and it is power steering. So that's not necessarily a difficult fix. It's not a gasket anywhere. And you can see what we have here is our whole container, our jug here is wet. And I figure what's happening is there's a hole, you guys can see right here, that it's kind of like it's overflow, and it does probably seem to be coming out of there. And the reason for that is, look at the sag on this pump. Like, this pump is leveled down like this. It should be up like this, but I bet you any money the grommets here are old and worn. So what I'm gonna do here is whip up a quick little bracket that's gonna slide underneath here and hold this pump up properly. And there you have it, small little bracket that I fished out of the scrap pile here, and it's gonna tuck in as such right underneath here. I'm going to paint this black, it has to be black. And I think the other thing, this thing's just a little bit too high. We've got too much fluid in here, which is probably also causing the leakage. So this is DP's Austin Mini. Remember Mini? Austin Powers had a Mini Me?
He did.
This is your like mini pump, right, DP?
It is. How did you know?
I know everything. I'm a BMW owner. We do have another oil leak, and it's a very minor one, but enough that I can see there's oil starting to trail down the valve cover. And that is because of our oil cap right here. You can see there is oil here, and it has run down here and down here, just enough to annoy me. And then I thought, oh, I just replaced the gasket, but for $8, I was able to get a Febby brand new oil cap. Ooh, this one feels way better. You can, oh, for sure, this one's not gonna leak. But wait a second, DP, doesn't line up perfectly. You see that? It's a little off.
Yeah, what's going on there? That's
hold on, hold on, let's see if the old one was off by a little bit. Yes, the old one is also off. So I don't know why. I'm not going to complain. I don't think I can twist anything or do anything about it, but.
Wait, this doesn't make your OCD go into
it does,
overdrive?
But because the OEM one does, I'm not gonna try to fix it. And I don't think I can fix it. What I'm gonna do is yank on this and probably break it, but there you go. Another problem fixed and more money spent. BMW, it's the gift that keeps on giving. And by giving, I mean giving me headaches. Yet another problem that I've run into here is I topped this thing up full, filled the gas tank, which in turn all of a sudden created a strong smell of gasoline in the cabin and outside. Sure enough, it looks like the sending unit here is cracked and it's leaking, so I'm gonna have to pull this thing out now. So here's our old sending unit, and you can see I've poured a little bit of water into this weird contraption. I don't know what it is. It's like this piece up here. I don't know what it's for. Maybe for another vehicle where they cut it open, they have another relief hose, but it doesn't seem to do anything on this car other than you can see it is leaking on mine, which it's not supposed to, which is where the gas was coming from, like I showed you before. There we have it. Everything's back together, and I mean, I can't test it because I don't have a full gas tank anymore, but odds are that this isn't gonna leak. So we'll just chalk this one up to another BMW problem solved for the low, low price of, what was it? I didn't pay too much for that. I think it was like under 200 bucks. Now on to something a little bit more lighthearted, and that is the color of the kidney grills. There was so much debate, as I knew in the comments, whether the chrome ones would be a hit or I should have gone with the matte black ones. And truth be told, I really do like these. However, now that I've seen the car, I'm kind of tempted to put these in to see what they look like. For your information, a lot of you also said, well, these are the pre-facelift ones, get the facelift ones. I actually don't like the facelift ones. I think they're bulkier, they're a little bit thicker. You can see they're like these. They just actually come out a little bit further. They give it more of like a nostril snout, where these are super clean. So I do prefer these over the facelifted ones, but let's see what these look like. There you go. I don't know, DP, I don't know. I like it, I think I do. I guess it's just such a different look. It kind of feels a little bit more modern, like a little bit, but I don't know. I'm torn on it. Maybe I'll run these for a bit and see. Like I said, the other ones just looked very clean. You can see this does have like such a larger outline, so it does have like a more pronounced look, and now it's kind of like ingrained in my head about this, that the other ones just look cleaner. So I don't know. Again, post in the comments. Now that you guys have seen them in here, tell me what you think. Another minor issue that has plagued me is this rear diffuser, as you can see, bounces around, is very unsturdy, and that is because it is missing this piece, which is specific to the wagon. And thanks to Bud's BMW in Oakville, I was able to order it up pretty quickly. It did come from Germany. And get this, if you can see this, this says Zender. So this is an original BMW part. And for those of you that know, Zender is like a vintage body kit manufacturer out of Germany. Maybe they still make body kits. I could be out of touch, but it's super neat to see their logo on this piece, which means they're still around kicking. And now they are gonna somehow be a part of this wagon. I know this feels like a very small detail, but it's certainly one of those things, as you can see, it just makes everything right, and that's what I'm trying to do here, is make this thing right. It is once again time to say goodbye to the Style 65s. I know the topic of which rim is the better one for the vehicle has been back and forth. I think it's like a 60-40 split where people prefer the stock M5 wheels. I'm actually gonna take these and have them refinished in shadow chrome and put a new set of Extreme Contact Sports on here, because you know what? The beauty of having two sets of rims is you can run whichever one you want when you want. And for those of you that noticed that we had our E34 throwing stars on backwards, good for you, and making that post and comment and telling us we were wrong and that it really tweaked your OCD and brah and bro. And what are you guys doing? You guys passed the test. You really did. We did that on purpose. We were testing you to see if you guys knew that the way these are supposed to go on is in a directional manner, as such, like this. So now we fixed this, and I think so many of you will be able to sleep at night and rest well, knowing that these are gonna be on right. Did I get you guys again or what? This is the right way they gotta go. As you can see, they're supposed to spin like this. One of the last finishing touches that I've been debating on is this, people. Do I put the M5 badge on here? I actually went for the E34 one, which is a little bit smaller than the E39, which was even bigger. So this is a smaller badge. And I don't know. Part of me wants to tell the world because I'm so happy and proud of building this vehicle, but the other part just wants to leave it off because, well, sometimes you gotta leave people guessing. Quick question for all you BMW experts out there. Here is my 540i key, and here is one that I've purchased, which you can see is like an updated, I think a facelift one. Looks much cleaner, much more modern. Now, do I have to go get this coated at a dealership, or people out there, are there services out there that will do this for me? Like, what about key cutting? Let me know in the comments or shoot me a DM on Instagram because I'm really curious to know what the right way of doing this is. I saw a few comments of some very angry people complaining about the color temperature of the halos being yellow and it doesn't match the HIDs. And guys, I'm working on it. You don't climb Mount Everest in a day. Things are coming. I've actually ordered up some high quality lights. I think they're LEDs that go into the halo from Umnitsa. They're like the best ones. They're expensive, like 150 bucks, but they're the ones that don't burn out. They work proper. So that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna change that out. Now let me show you with the coating that Paul has done, which is super cool. So this is my parking light setup now. I actually can trigger my fog lights. So I can drive down the road with the fog lights on and my parking lights on without having the headlights on, which is super cool. And of course, then we do have our Morimoto projector upgrade from the retrofit source, which looks super awesome. And now you can understand why you don't want to run the stock OEM color that that the halos are, because it is very yellowy. Same with the halogens in here. I'm gonna have to replace those. And I know some of you have gone to the extent of telling me I should change the bulb out in the corner lens here. You can actually still buy clear bulbs that emit an orange turn signal, like a blinker, so to kind of give it like a complete look. I don't know if I'm gonna go that far. I actually prefer having a little bit of that OEM orange look. I know it's not as clean, but I do like that. Would you believe it or not, after running the vehicle to make sure that all the air was out of the coolant, it's like I heard something's making a weird noise. It sounds like a pulley. And sure enough, I think it is a pulley. So what we're gonna do next here is take the belts off and just like spin a bunch of these bearings and see if one of them is bad. Surprise, surprise, the pulley is bad. You can see this one on the tensioner pulley on the AC side. Just listen to it. And then I figured, you know what? Well, while we're here, we might as well check these. And sure enough, this guy also isn't as bad.
Sounds a little crusty too, though.
It does sound crusty. And then the top guy there, I think that one's the best one out of all of them. But because I'm here, I might as well do it. And that's just only gonna cost me another $300, which in the grand scheme of things on this vehicle is like nothing, right guys?
Just keep
like,
bleeding money, PC.
Just keep feeding that cash into the car and it'll be perfect, which the only thing that I can rationalize this in the way is that it's not gonna break down, right? Like now I'm gonna be able to drive this car worry-free. I can take it on a road trip for 9 hours, 10 hours, and it's just gonna run perfect. That's one of the tensioners on the main belt. This one was one that I originally thought was the culprit, which is the pulley for the tensioner on the AC side. And the new parts here, ooh, look at that. That's the way they're supposed to sound. Okay, belt is back on, pulley's in place, all torqued to spec. So let's fire this thing up and see if we hear that same noise.
Does sound better, yeah.
Sounds like that noise is gone.
Yeah.
Well, that is going to be a wrap for an unexpected episode of fixing more things on the BMW. Would you believe it? I hope this is the last episode of something like this. Next stop is the racetrack for us, where we're headed to do those drag and roll races. So that will be the next video you will see unless something breaks with this car again, but I feel like I've got it all under wraps. There are still a couple of minor things that I need to take care of, but all in all, this thing is such an awesome piece to drive. So we will see you guys in the next one. Listen to that exhaust. Woo.
Plastic bag has been blowing around here in the driveway for the last, I don't know, 10 minutes. Just making a nice circular route here, and it's making me think of that scene from that film with Kevin Spacey